Hi, my name is Rakesh Singh and I welcome you on this jQuery video session. Thank you so much for joining Naresh IT Technologies video session. In this today video session we are going to discuss jQuery Attribute Value Selector Part 2. As we have discussed in the previous video session Part 1, in which we have covered three concepts of the Attribute Value Selector. Means selecting the attribute that equals to any specific value. And the second one is what? Selecting the element with the specified attribute their value which are not equal. And the third one, selecting the element with the specified attribute which contain the specified value. Means attribute value equal selector, attribute not equals value selector, and the third one, attribute contains value selector. So there are three attribute value selector we haven't discussed. In this today video session we will discuss attribute starts with selector. Attribute starts with selector. That required what is it? In a square bracket some name of the attribute, exponent symbol equals to value. Means selecting the elements with the specified attribute start with this specified value. And the second one we will discuss about attribute ends with selector. That how to define? Square bracket name of the attribute dollar equals to symbol and double quotes value. Means selects elements that have specified attribute with a value ending exactly with a given string. Means the attribute contain the value, and what value here we have been specified with this value that must be ends, and it is nothing but case sensitive, please remember that. And the third one is attribute contains word selector, right? Name, right? Tilde mark equals to value. Means selects elements that have the specified attribute with a value contains a given word delimited by spaces. Means what value here it is specified, this value as a word must be contained in the attribute value of the HTML DOM element, and that delimited by what is it? Any one space. And the last one we'll discuss in today video session, attribute contains prefix selector. That how to define? A square bracket the name of attribute, pipe symbol equals to specified value. So what it does, selects elements that have the specified attribute with a value either equal to a given string or starting with that string followed by a hyphen. Means the value must be equal or starting with that string followed by a hyphen character, then that element gets selected. So in part 1's video session we have been discuss attribute equals value selector, we have discussed attributes not equals value selector, attribute contains value selector. In this we are discussing starts with selector, ends with selector, contains word selector, right, contains prefix selector. So these four we are going to elaborate in a more details with the examples. So try to understand here, if a requirement comes to select all elements that have title attribute. So I am just using for making you to understand one most commonly used attribute, the name called title. But in the real environment we may require to work with the some other attribute like ID attribute, name attribute, right, alt attribute, right, src attribute. There are plenty of attributes belong to different HTML DOM elements are present. On any attributes as per requirement you can work in your development. But in my video session I am just taking for example one attribute, that is what title attribute, which is common to all the HTML DOM element. So what requirement may occur? Selects all elements that have title attribute value starting with the Naresh IT. Means any element which uses the attribute title and that attribute containing some value, but in that value the value must start with the Naresh IT, then only that element to be selected. So we will be writing how? Dollar of title before square bracket not mention any what is that element. It means any element that has what attribute? Title attribute. exponent symbol equals to what is it? Naresh IT. It means that attribute value must start with the given this word, the name is what? Naresh IT. Second requirement, what may be occurred? Selects all elements that have title attribute value ending with session. Means those elements which uses an attribute title and that have some value, but in the value if the ending value is what? Session, then only that element is going to select, otherwise the element is not going to select. So how you will be writing? Dollar of in square bracket attribute name title, right? Dollar equals to what is it? Word session. So whichever HTML element using the title attribute value, that value ending with what? Session, that element gets selected. Third requirement, what may be occurred? Selects all the elements that have title attribute value containing the given word. Example here, what word? jQuery, and that word delimited by what is it? Space, means separated by the some space. So in your HTML document, any element which has the title attribute that have some value, in the value, right, the value should be what? Content, according to my example jQuery, right, delimited by one space, then only that element gets selected, otherwise the element is not going to select. And once element is not selected, we cannot perform any operation on that. One more requirement may be occurred in our real time development. It selects all elements that have title attribute value equal to Naresh IT or starting with the Naresh IT in the entire value and followed by one hyphen character, right? Then that element gets selected, and for that we will write the jQuery selector dollar of square bracket title pipe symbol equals to in double quotes what value? Naresh IT. So it means what? Whichever HTML element have the attribute title and the value must be equal to what? Naresh IT or starting with what? Naresh IT and followed by one hyphen character, then that element is going to select it. So based upon this, let's start doing some example practically and perform certain operation on those element, which element gets selected with this all attribute value selector, in which one we are using what? Start, one we are using what? Ending with, one we are using what is it? Containing, delimited by space, one we are using what? Equals to a specified value or start with a specified value and followed by what is it? Hyphen character. So the all four we are going to implement the practically, and we are going to perform any such operation on that selected elements. So for that I have an example. What? Selects all elements that have title attribute value starting with Naresh IT and sets what? 5 pixel solid red border. Means we are going to apply a new CSS as a with the border, and the border thickness 5 pixel, style solid, and the color is what? Red. To which element? Only those elements who has attribute title, their value starting with what? Naresh IT, not any other one. So for this is the example, dollar of title, right, exponent symbol equals to Naresh IT dot action method, what is it? CSS. This is my method which is going to apply some action. What action? CSS border at the border value. So let's see implementation in our project, and we'll see that while running this giving the output according to this example or not. So what I do that, I am going to Visual Studio Development, right. So this is the what? My previous video session HTML document, HTML page.html, and in this we have some HTML document element defined with the div tag, with the paragraph, and maybe you can have some other elements also, right. This div has some ID called div1, title has Naresh IT, this has some content. I have one more div with the title Naresh IT jQuery video session. I have one paragraph where has title some value what? Naresh IT jQuery video session by what is it? Mr. Rakesh, and this having some content. So like this we are having the HTML document element, and where in this one jQuery script file already referenced, one more script tag is defined, and in this we will perform all the operation as soon as document gets ready. So we have already mentioned $document dot what is it? Ready of function. So this is the ready. Now what requirement is? Selects all elements, right, which has attribute title and their value starts with the Naresh IT. So what will do that? Dollar of which elements? Any specific elements or all elements? No, all elements right now. So square bracket, right? And those elements use what attribute? Title. So just mention what? Title, right? Not equals, it starts with the what? Some value. So exponent symbol we are going to define, equals to value. Already double quotes we have been used, so we will use here single quotes. And what is that value? Naresh IT, right? And square bracket close. So what it does, this one, it selects all elements that have what attribute? Title. Exponent symbol equals to is indicate for matching this value which is going to start with that. So means Naresh IT, wherever starting in the title attribute value, those elements get selected. So before I run this page, you observe that there is a one div element, right? Has one attribute title, yes. And their value start with the Naresh IT, yes, matching. So this element gets selected. Now the next element also has some title. This title has the bigger value, but in this bigger value, the starting value is matching with the Naresh IT. Yes, it is matching Naresh IT. So this element also gets selected. I have another element. This is not a div, is a paragraph element. No matter, because we are not specifying here which element. We are asking for what? All elements. So here also has one attribute what? Title. That is what? Having some bigger value. In this value, the starting value is Naresh IT matching. Yes. So this element also gets selected. Suppose I just keep for testing purpose line break one more element called span. Fine. Span doesn't have any attribute called title, right? And I'm writing this is what? First span element, written that. So all element means this also will be covered, right? But this element do not have what attribute? Title. So this is not going to select. Even the body also comes under all elements, but this doesn't have the attribute what? Title. So this also not going to select. So according to this HTML jQuery selector, right? From this HTML document, so this element is getting selected 1, second element is going to select 2, and third element going to select what? 3. Nothing but total 3 elements are going to select. So I want to perform some action, that is what? CSS of my requirement is start with the what? CSS apply border. You can apply any CSS, not only the border. I am just using the border for example purpose. And here what is it? Border 5 pixel, that is the thickness, solid, that is a style, and color what is it? Red, right? So once you run this page, and as soon as the HTML document gets ready at the clients in the browser window, then it is going to select those elements which have the attribute title, starting value with the what? Naresh IT, and on that it is going to apply what? CSS. Which CSS? Border CSS with the what? 5 pixels, solid and red. So save it. Now run this page in a browser. So once it is going to browser launch, it is going to select what? Second element and third element. This is the first div element is not selected. So what happening here? Attribute is what? Title. Exponent symbol equals to what is it? Naresh IT. Run this page, and whenever the page is going to launch in the browser, and as an HTML document gets ready, so we will see that by using the selector, it selects these 3 elements, and on that going to apply the CSS with the border 5 pixels, solid, red. But last elements span do not get selected. Reason behind that, this doesn't have the attribute called title. These 3 has title attribute, and in every title attribute values start with the what? Naresh IT. So those 3 elements are getting selected. So right click on the page, view in a browser. Once it is launched in a window, you can see this is the first div element, this is second div element, this is the first paragraph element. All 3 first elements are selected, and it is applied with what? One red color border. So this element having what title? Only Naresh IT. You can observe that title always display whenever mouse pointer over on the what? HTML elements to show the description as a tooltip text. Here what is there available? Naresh IT jQuery video session. In this title attribute value also starting value is what? Naresh IT. In this one what is available? Naresh IT jQuery video session by Rakesh. In this also, right, starting value what is it? Naresh IT. That's what these 3 elements are get selected. Now for example, before I move to the next one, I just say here also title. Suppose attribute I said what is it? Title equals to Simply I give what is it, jQuery video session, right. So this is also one element which has what attribute, title, but in this title what value is mentioned over here, there is a here what mentioned means the select those elements which has title attribute, it is there, but the value must start with the what, Naresh IT. Here value is not available which start with the what, Naresh IT. So then also this element is not going to select. So save it, come back and refresh the same previous running HTML page, then also you will get the same result. This element is not getting selected and not applying the what, red color border, even though it has title attribute, but their value not start with the what, Naresh IT. This is all about the first example. What first example, right, attribute value that start with the what, specified value, and on that set what is it, border 5 pixels solid red. Now the second example, maybe requirement come, selects all elements that have title attribute value ending with what, session, and set the border with this 5 pixels solid red. So for that what symbol required, use dollar symbol equals to and the what is it, value. So if you see this example here, I say title of dollar equals to dollar of title, in this dollar equals to value what is it, Naresh IT. No, I just change what value, session, right. Means whichever element has attribute title and in their value end with the what, this specified value, session, those elements get selected. So see that here the first element which has attribute what, title, yes, but their value what, Naresh IT, right. Here what given, the value must end with what, this session, whatever word I have mentioned here. Here what available only what, Naresh IT. So this is only starting word or this is the only word, ending word, but is not matched with the word, session. Second element, Naresh IT jQuery video session, in this entire value ending value is what, here given session and here also matching what, session. So this element gets selected. Similar to this third one, right, paragraph, Naresh IT jQuery video session by Rakesh. So this has value, in this value session is present, but we are using this selector expression that always looks for this specified value must match in the ending. So here ending what mentioned, Rakesh, is not available what, session, so is not going to select this element. Now the last element available also title attribute jQuery video session, in this value session is available in the what, end, so this element is going to select. It means as per our discussion, two HTML element must be selected and on that set the what, CSS border. So save it now, run this page in a browser and you can see that there are two elements is getting selected. This is the one and this is the another one. This element has attribute value Naresh IT jQuery video session is matching ending what, session. So this element selected. This element has, right, jQuery video sessions, in this also last word is what, session. So this element get selected. So this is what, nothing but select all elements that have title attribute value ending with session and then set the border 5 pixels solid red. Now the third one, what is that, selects all elements that have title attribute value containing given word what, jQuery, means not starting not ending, anywhere contains the one word called what, jQuery, delimited by what, space, right. On that set what is that, 5 pixels solid red border. So what I am going to do that, come into Visual Studio environment and for this what to use, expression, you must use what is that, nothing but tilde mark equals to, right, tilde mark equals to, which is going to select elements with the containing this word for that attribute and delimited by what is that, spaces, either one space, either what, more than one space. So what we will do that here is what, tilde mark equals to word as per my program example what, jQuery I am giving. Select all elements that have attribute called title containing a given word jQuery delimited by spaces. First element title attribute is present, no doubt, but there is no value containing what, jQuery, not selected. Second element has attribute title, yes, and in this what value is present, in this entire value there is a one value is there, what, jQuery. So this jQuery is containing anywhere, yes, containing here, and delimited by what is it, some spaces. So this element selected. Same way this element also has attribute title and their value. In this value jQuery containing anywhere, yes, it is containing over here and delimited by space. So this element gets selected. Third element has title attribute, yes, it is present, and in their value, right, do we have the jQuery word anywhere, either starting, either ending, either middle, any place, yes, and delimited by what is it, space. So this element is going to be selected. Now save it and run this. So look at that, this CSS border going to apply to which element and how many elements. So run in the browser, you can see that 3 elements. Why? The first element has attribute value Naresh IT. So there is no value containing what, jQuery word. This one, in their value there is a one containing what jQuery is matching. Here containing what jQuery matching and delimited by what, some spaces. Here also, right, jQuery word is there and delimited by what is it, white spaces. So that's why these 3 elements are getting selected. Now the last example, if requirement comes, selects all elements that have title attribute value equal to Naresh IT, is equal to any specific value, I am using here Naresh IT, or starting with Naresh IT followed by a hyphen character, means equal to Naresh IT or starting with the Naresh IT and followed by what is it, hyphen character, then it gets selected. And how to use expression, we have to use pipe symbol equals to, pipe symbol equals to, previously tilde mark equals to, previous to that dollar equals to, previous to that exponent symbol equals to, right. So what we will do that, we will come to the Visual Studio environment, we use here what is it, pipe symbol, right, equals to word, what I am going to find out, Naresh IT, equal to Naresh IT or starting with Naresh IT followed by hyphen characters. So you observe here this paragraph, what I am going to give that, I am giving what is it, Naresh IT hyphen jQuery video session by Rakesh. Here what is it, Naresh IT, right. So equal to what is it, Naresh IT. Here equal to Naresh IT, no, starting with Naresh IT, but do you have any hyphen character, no. Here starting with Naresh IT followed by what is it, hyphen character. In this any Naresh IT is there, not there. So either equal to Naresh IT, either starting with Naresh IT followed by hyphen character, those elements get selected, and on that apply the action called CSS with the border 5 pixels solid, what is it, red. Save now, run this page in HTML in a browser window. Whenever HTML document gets loaded, you can observe that only 2 elements are getting selected and applied with the red. Why? Because there is simple reason, I said equal to Naresh IT, so there is an element present, title has only Naresh IT. So this specified value exactly equal to this value, yes, this element selected. Second one, here has Naresh IT jQuery video session value, here equals to is not equal. So what, starting with Naresh IT, yes, but whenever I talk about starting with Naresh IT followed by hyphen character, do you have any followed by hyphen character, no. So this element not selected. In the third case, Naresh IT hyphen jQuery video session by Rakesh. So here equal to Naresh IT, not equal. Starting with Naresh IT, yes, followed by which character, hyphen character. This element gets selected, and on that action will be applied. So this is the first div element selected, and this paragraph, this is the first paragraph element selected. Last one is span element, title attribute is present, but in this what value is there, in the value not matching with the equal to Naresh IT and not matching with that starting with Naresh IT also. So this element not get selected, only this element gets selected, that's what, right, it is getting applied CSS border to only those 2 elements. So this is all about, right, jQuery attribute value selector. In previous video session we have discussed part 1 with the 3, right, attribute equals value selector, attribute not equals value selector, attribute contains value selector, and today we have discussed the 4, what 4, starting with the value, ending with the value, as well as containing value delimited by space, and the fourth one equal to value or starting with value followed by hyphen character. So this is all about jQuery attribute value selector. Thanks for watching Naresh IT jQuery video session. Keep watching and subscribe more for the more videos. Thank you very much.